viewers, and welcome back to the South Main Auto Channel. That's a 2015 Kia. It's a Sorento. It's got the big 3.3, I believe it is, the GDI. And it cranks but won't start. Now, the lady's had it at the Kia dealer, and she's had it at another local shop here, and nobody can make heads or tails of it, I guess. And I believe that's because it usually starts when they get it there, or when it dies, they go over and they beat on the fuse box, and then it starts, so I'm told. But now it doesn't start at all, so it's our stab at it to see if we can't figure out what's going on with it. The tow truck just dropped it off, and it still doesn't start, so that's good. And apparently the lady got a little upset at it today and punched a hole through the fuse box, and it still didn't start, so that's even better. You don't want to mess with this lady. Well, we can hear it doesn't start. However, this is going to be real embarrassing. The gas light's on and the gauge doesn't move off E is the first thing I notice. Let's give her a little something just to see. I hate to be this stupid, but let's find out here. Let's give her a little snort of the good stuff here, just out of curiosity. All right, let's light this candle. All right, negative, Ghost Rider. So it wasn't that simple. I would think if we were just out of gas, which it appears to be, or if we've lost power to something and it doesn't have, the fuel sending unit's not working correctly, something, I would have thought that it would have snorted just a little bit right there. So we'll put the lid back on that, scrap that idea, and we will continue on with our diagnosis. We'll just do a quick visual inspection here, see if there's any rodent damage or something like that, and then we'll see what we're missing. Are we missing spark? Are we missing fuel? Are we missing both? It is GDI. Probably jumped the gun a little bit with this, but I tell you what, I've had enough vehicles towed in out of fuel to learn my lesson. Visual inspection looks fine. I don't see anything out of the ordinary, you know, like I say, other than the fuel gauge being all the way down to empty. I don't want to go touching anything just yet. Ultel's just getting fired up here. This is a Kia. We're going to let it go through and do its system scan to see, do we have any codes? Do they give us any direction? If they do, great. If not, then so be it. And it is a 3.3. So I'll let this go through and do its thing and tell us what's wrong with it, right? Because that's what the big computer does. Well, we're waiting for that. I gotta do some investigation here. Man, it smells amazing out here.
You didn't want any muffins, remember?
I didn't know what you was making. I thought they were some kind of hipster muffins you were making.
No.
Wow.
Regular old muffin.
And you're taking all of them with you?
I asked you.
You didn't explain in detail.
You didn't ask any questions.
Okay, is it too late to ask for some muffins?
Maybe.
Maybe it's
not.
too late?
Maybe not.
Can we have some muffins, please?
I guess.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what we have here. We're going to go to the report. We'll skip that. And the survey says, limp home mode, force limited power, limited RPM, ECM, PCM, relay control circuit open. Well, that's helpful. And throttle actuator, we don't care about that. System voltage. So this one I care about, the 560, but I really care about this one. 685 ECM, PCM power relay control circuit open. I don't know much about the Kias, but I imagine that's a big deal. And cam timed out. Like, well, let's focus our effort here. P0685. Although all of these are active codes, this is the one. Let's look at 685 and 560. So I know it's not everybody's cup of tea to, you know, spend time looking stuff up. However, you have to. I don't have the P0685 code set criteria memorized for Kia, or anything really, that for that matter. But we're going to spend a little bit of time here looking to see and to get some direction. We may have to look up some diagrams and things like that, but we need to look at the code set criteria first and foremost to see what the thing's made of. So let's have a look here. We'll go right to general information. PCM controls the ground path to the main relay control coil. The other side of the main relay coil is fused battery positive. Okay. Let's see what all this says. PCM checks the main relay control circuit every 10 seconds. If it detects an open or a short, we'll get the 685 code. So that's good to know. Get our stuff here. Main relay has a fault, engine running, 685, or we can get these codes here. What other codes did we have? We had a 2106 and a 2110, so this is helpful to know. We have this 2106, can set at the same time, which is the forced limited power. Oh yeah, it says right here, you ding dong. Let's see here, we'll just keep clicking through these. Okay, it gives us our resistance of the control side of the relay if we need that. Okay, it gives us something to look at. So the GDS, that's your factory scan tool for your Hyundai Kia. We can go here, let's see, wiring inspection, terminal, power control circuit inspection. Maybe this will give us a, okay, gives us a few little details there. Verification, component inspection. All right, so I kind of see what's going on here. Substitute a known good PCM. That's where every flowchart always ends. So that's why we don't use flowcharts, but we get a little bit of data out of them. So let's find a wiring diagram. Now that we know a little bit about it, or we at least know what the PCM is looking for, this is pretty interesting. What I want to see, what I'm curious about, is this PCM power relay. What does it turn on? And what can we learn from there? So let's go right to a wiring diagram. Let's find a wiring diagram here. We'll go for a color diagram because they're a little easier to navigate through initially. And then we want to find the PCM. What are they going to call it? The power relay. Maybe we can just cheat a little bit here. It's memory power. Let's try to find the word power relay here. Power ground, power steering. Sometimes this works, but not in this case. We'll do PCM. Not going to find it that way. I've already skipped past it a few times. So we have engine control relay. Sometimes the terminology on ProDemand is different than what it is in service data. So, ER fuse relay box, fuel pump relay control. So we have this engine control relay. I don't know if this is the one it's talking about. I'm going to pop back into service data and see if it gives us some circuit numbers or something there. I won't bore you guys with all of that, but once we find out which relay we're going after, then we'll go after it. Did a little poking, and I see what I see. Sometimes Hyundai Kia service data can be kind of tricky to navigate. Of course, I don't work on a lot of these, so I'm not super familiar with it, but here's the under hood fuse box they show, which when I zoom in on it, it's not very legible. But they have this EMS box over here, which is another part of this fuse box, which houses this main relay. The terminology of this thing changes quite a bit through service data, so we're gonna go with main relay. And then when we click on this box, this EMS box, which I'm assuming it pulls out of the main box, because it shows all these fuses and then these two relays, and I don't know if they're built in or they're integrated. We're gonna go under the hood and have a look, but it says, you know, main relay, fuel pump relay. That's all it shows is the description here. And it shows a fuel pump relay here and a main relay here. So that's kind of interesting. And then a bunch of fuses, you know, fuel pump, ECU, injectors. And I'm curious if when this main relay turns on, it turns on all of this stuff, is what I'm guessing. This looks like connectors on the bottom. So I'm curious to know if those relays are integrated or if they're replaceable. This tells all the circuits it protects. So it would make sense if that was down, all of this was dead. So let's have a look under the hood real quick. So this right here is that EMS block, and I see it's got a lot of pick marks on it where somebody's, you know, had dug it out. And then I see, you know, that's the section that's missing from where she put her fist through it. I don't want the vehicle to accidentally start. It showed our relays like in this vicinity, and I don't know if they're on the bottom of that EMS block. So I'm hesitant to pull it out at the current moment. Let's go back to our diagram now that we've learned some stuff. Let's just, I guess real quick, we can make sure that the vehicle doesn't start, because that's really important. We haven't fiddled with anything other than pull that lid off. Let's be certain. Okay, so that's good. At least it still doesn't start. I think what we need to do, we need to go back to our diagram, find the relay on there, see if this all makes sense to us, and then see what kind of testing we can do without fiddling. I'm just afraid that the vehicle is going to start. We're going to assume that this is the correct relay, which I believe it is. And the problem that it's having an issue with is this brown and black wire right here. So that's the control side that comes all the way down. That should go to the PCM. Yeah, engine control relay. Here we go. So PCM, left corner of engine. And essentially what I would assume is that the ECM is not seeing power on this control wire, or, you know, its desired state isn't where it should be. So that can be a bad relay. We could have just an open in this relay. We could have a bad PCM, or we could have a bad power feed wherever this wire comes through. This should be the power side. We don't really need to know where it comes from right now, because we can see the power comes in, it feeds the control side of the relay, and it feeds the load side of the relay. And then easy enough to check, it feeds this ECU4 fuse. So let's go see if ECU4 is hot with the key on. If it is, and we know our power side is good, and then without touching this relay, we can go right to the ECM, because we should have power here, power coming through the coil, and then power coming out, providing it's not being commanded on. So let's go to ECU4 and see if that fuse is dead. We'll get a good ground, which should be easy. Our battery's right here. Has a Mopar battery in it. Maybe that's the problem. Let's see, ECU4. We have ECU1, ECU2, and that gigantic hole. Well, let's just go down any of these fuses here. So far, everybody's dead. Okay, that fuse is good, but all the fuses over here are dead, and I'm assuming ECU4 fuse sits over here. I could look it up again, but the fact of the matter is all of these are dead. Okay, every fuse in that slot is dead. All these fuses are not dead. I know ECU fuse 4 lives over here. These 3 are spares. So these are all dead. I would be willing to bet if I was a gambling man, if I jumpered power to these, the car would start and run. But we're not gonna do that quite just yet. I'm gonna verify that ECU4 fuse is indeed over here somewhere. It's got 1 and 2 over there. I thought I saw it on another diagram. I'll verify that. And if it is, we know they're dead. Now we've got to go back and see where the power is that feeds this relay. Because our relay is not bad, but our power that feeds everything is bad. Let's see here, component location. Hey, look at that. Actually took us to the right diagram. ECU 1, 2, and 4. So I checked all the fuses in this whole fuse box, and they're all dead. Okay. So we're not really concerned with the relay at this point, right? Does that make sense to you? Because this fuse is dead, which is powered from the same power source that powers the relay. But the ECM's not smart enough to know. All it knows is this brown wire with the black stripe, hey, we don't have power on it. So let's follow this black wire backwards. And that comes from EMS fuse 40 amp. EMS fuse 40 amp. I wonder where that fella is. I really wish the lady didn't put her fist through this thing. Well, because there's 1, 2, 3, there's 3 40 amperes, ignition 2, ignition 1, and then that one. So I should just print out the label for that because it's getting annoying. Okay, according to our service data, it is the one right up here by the 50 amperes. So it's this fella right here. That is our EMS fuse. What I want to do, I don't want to yank on it in case there's a connection problem. So what we're going to do is pull the lid off it if we can. Oh, these are a little different than what I'm used to. They don't have the removable side, must be the low profile ones. So I guess in this case, we will yank on it. Just from the sounds of the problems that the other shops are having fixing this, I'm hesitant to just, you know, start ripping on things over here and accidentally fix it and still not know what it is, and then have the lady come in and, you know, I mean, not upset with me, just upset that it, so there we go, we have power there. This fuse does not look blown. Okay, I'm just jumping across the 2 terminals right now. I'll tell you what, let me get another 40 amp J case out of a box I've got over here. We're gonna pull the lid off. I'm gonna make sure that this one's good. You'll see what I'm doing. So this is a low profile J case. This is your standard one. I just pulled the lid off it. We're gonna stick it in here. Okay, I just wanna make darn sure, A, that we have a good fuse, because sometimes these are hard to see through the lid. I want to make sure that power is going across it, which it is. And look, are all these freaking fuses lit up now? Oh no, just one. We didn't have power on any of these before. Or was I not poking them far enough? I'll tell you what, let's just see if the thing starts now for some reason. Okay, it does not start. However, I think I may have been led astray by my own testing because I don't think I was getting down in these fuses far enough. Oh, look at that. All I'm doing is I'm pushing on this. You hear that, guys? Okay, so we're doing something here. Let's take that fuse back out. Let's put the regular one back in because we know we're good there. Obviously, we're doing something by pushing on the fuse. Let's see, are we pushing on that big box? Because I'm pushing on everything here. So let me push down on this because we got to be able to follow our clues here. So pushing on the big box enough to make the car bounce does nothing. Pushing on this EMS block is the trick. Man, if she only hit it a little bit harder, she would have got it. Pushing it here doesn't do anything. Okay. So clearly, we're dealing with some kind of connection issue because the vehicle should run when I do that. All right, so I'm kind of curious here. Yep. Oh no. Boy, these fuses are really deep. Okay. So that's turning the relay on and off, obviously. We can all see that, right? Okay. So we have direction. We don't have an answer, but we have direction. The sucky part is, you can see that somebody's been in here. This thing has really been fiddled with a lot. I think we've came up to the same solution or the same, we've ended up in the same area as other people have already been here. I don't know how this thing comes out of here, but we're gonna try to figure that out a little bit. Let me get a poking device here. See if we can't get this unlatched. Pull it up out of here. I assume it pulls up and out because of the latches that are on it. Let me get another pick here and see if I can't lift that out of there for us. That side's coming up and out. See if I can't get this side up and out. I don't know if it just goes into a connector, if just this EMS box itself is bad with an integrated relay, or what it's made out of. I assume we're going to find out here. There we go. So we lift this up and out, and it's got 2 connectors on the bottom of it and 1 main power feed. So let's disconnect it here. The way the wires hook up to it, we're not really tweaking down on the wire because they're just regular plugs. Oh, I see. So it has this yellow, this little indicator here that sticks up. That pops down once it loses connection with the main battery feed that feeds it. Now, when we were pushing down right here, directly on the box, we weren't really tweaking any of these connectors here. These connectors were just they hang loose in outer space. We're not doing any connection tweaking. So what I think we're doing when we're pushing on the box is this has integrated relays in here. And when we're pushing down on it, we're creating some kind of connection, or we're tweaking the circuit board one way or another. And I think all this lady needs is this EMS block. I don't think she really needed to stick her fist through it. Did you see that, Mrs. O? The tow truck driver told me that's what she did. She's like, yeah. Well, because she knows that she used to come over here and bang on this and get the thing running.
Oh.
So she tried banging on it. She's pissed because she just had it at the Kia dealer and had it at the other shop there. But we got her figured out. We need a EMS. We got there, my guy.
I brought you some muffins.
Ooh, what kind? Let's have a look.
Muffins.
What kind is that one? Oh, is that chocolate?
Yes.
And those are berries. Mm-hmm. So hard to decide. See if I can't get up in there without going through my finger. There we go. There we go, my guy. Sometimes you can see a piece of broken solder. We probably have to yank out all the fuses. The relay's got to be on the back side here. Let me take a picture of this. Oops, the little yellow indicator just fell out. We need to save that. That goes in there, must be. Okay, so not a big deal. I'm going to take a picture of this. Then I'm going to pull all the fuses out. Yeah, we're going to flip it over. We're going to see what we were pushing on when we push on this side. It's got to be these solder joints here that we push on. If it is a bad solder joint, it could be just a bad relay, I suppose, but I wonder if I can see. And all we were doing is pushing down here, so are we pushing on? I mean, we couldn't really have been pushing on a relay. So here's relay 1, relay 2, relay 3 is all it says. You know, what are we pushing on a relay? I suppose I can put the fuses back in it, put the fuses all back in here. They're all labeled, so that's nice. And then we can plug it back in and see, are we just tweaking on a relay? You know, can we duplicate it? So let me try that. We're gonna plug it in there. We're gonna plug it in here. Okay. And then, well, let's see. Let's just see if we can't. I just don't want to get it. No, I don't want to get it stuck down in there. So let's go like this. Of course, now everything's working now. We tweaked it too much. I just wanted to see if I could tweak on one of these relays and get it to not work. All we were doing is pushing down. I got to imagine that we were just touching the relay. I'm going for it. Yeah, because you can hear everything working now. I think what we need to do is reflow some of that solder on the bottom of this board where they all come through, because it sit like this, and all we were doing, and we weren't really pushing that hard. Like I say, I know we weren't tweaking these connectors because they're not hard part of the box. All we were doing is pushing in this vicinity. So I'm just going to take the soldering iron and I'm just going to touch each one of these terminals that sticks through here. I'm pretty certain on this end one, I could see a ring around it. So now that's done. Like I say, I just don't feel super great about it. I like to see things, something tangible, instead of all this stuff. But did the best job I could, so now we know what's wrong with it. Let's stick the baby back together. Don't forget to stick the little yellow donger back in there. All right, that's that. Technically it'll run. It would be really nice to give it to her and just tell her if it acts up again, then we'll get one, but unfortunately that can be super inconvenient, especially when I see a bunch of baby seats inside there. So I think we're going to err on the side of caution. I'm going to take this part number right off this box, see if we can get one from Kia. Hopefully you don't have to buy the whole stinking fuse box, but I was hoping that by tweaking on it over here we get it to quit again. But I know there's going to be the question, knowing that all you had to do is come hit the fuse box to make the car run, why wasn't that my first approach? And I'll answer that question with, we don't learn anything. So we come over, we put our fist through the fuse box and it starts. Well, big deal. What did we do? Did we move a fuse? Did we, what circuit are we looking at? So that's why I took the approach that I did. I always try to use a sensible or methodical approach to diagnosing no matter what it is, because let's say we start doing some testing and we get to a point the car starts. At least at that point we learned something. We learned that we didn't have power, or we had power on, fuse A, B, and C or what have you. And then that way there, when it comes in again and it doesn't start, or when we get it to act up again, we don't have to start all over. We can pick up where we left off. Or we can come up with a plan, that we can, give to our customer, to the other shop that this lady lives next to, for them to, proceed. If it's dead in their driveway, say, hey, mechanic Joe, go over and check this for me. Do we have power on this fuse? Okay, we don't. Good. We've already tested everything else. We know it's this. So that's why I do it like I do it. I know it's not how most of you agree and, don't think it's the correct way, but that's how I do it, because I want to gather some data. I want to know what I'm looking at, what's missing, and then come up with a plan. Could have came over, could have stuck our fist in it, had it running, parked it outside and said, we don't know what's wrong with it. However, she's already had that answer too many times. So now we can give her the real answer of what's wrong with it. I don't believe that I fixed it, because that's not my forte, but I know what's wrong with it, and I'm going to get the part ordered for it. That settles it, folks. Right brand new from Hyundai or Kia, it's $78. I can have one in a couple days. They got one in Connecticut. If I'd known that in the beginning, I probably wouldn't even have torn it apart for that price. Comes with all the fuses and everything in it. Not that that's a, you know, a great bargain, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be, and it's a lot cheaper than having to buy that whole box. And it's a good price to pay for a little peace of mind. Our fix, who knows, might last forever, but for 78 bucks and the 5 seconds it takes to put it in, I know that this lady will be happy and she won't be putting her fists through the fuse box again, hopefully. Anyways, why don't you guys go down in that comment section. Didn't have a good one there for you. Questions, comments, Insta, Facebook. You guys know what to do. Just my viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.